You were not born to live an average life. You were not created just to survive, to wake up, go through the motions, and repeat the cycle until your last day. You were designed for greatness, for impact, for excellence. And the journey to becoming the best version of yourself starts with one undeniable truth. You must refuse to settle for less than what you were created to be. The best version of you is not found in the comfort zone. It's not found in excuses. It's not found in waiting for the right time. The best version of you is forged in the fire of discipline, in the decisions you make when no one is watching, in the faith you hold when everything looks impossible. First, you have to think differently. If you're going to become the best you cannot think like everyone else. The average mind will always produce average results. Change your thoughts and you change your reality. If you tell yourself you can't, you'll stop before you start. But if you decide that you can, you ignite a force inside you that will move mountains. Second, you have to take full responsibility for your life. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you, to open the door for you, to hand you the opportunity. You are responsible for what you do with the talents, the time, and the energy you've been given. If you don't like your results, change your actions. If you don't like where you are, move. Third, you must master self-discipline. Talent will give you potential, but discipline will give you results. Consistency beats brilliance every single time. It's not what you do occasionally that changes your life, it's what you do daily. Wake up earlier, read more, work harder. Train your mind and body like your future depends on it, because it does. Fourth, you have to protect your environment. The people you spend time with are either watering your growth or poisoning it. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, who speak life into you, who push you to dream bigger. The best version of you will never be born in a toxic circle. Fifth, never stop learning. The moment you think you know it all is the moment you stop growing. Read, study, invest in mentors, and seek wisdom from every season of life. The best version of you is built on a foundation of knowledge and understanding. And finally, put faith into action. Believing in your potential is not enough. You must act on it, step out, even when you feel unprepared. Take the risk when the opportunity comes. Trust that you were created with everything you need to fulfill your assignment in life. Becoming the best version of yourself is not about perfection, it's about progression. Every day, make choices that move you closer to your God-given purpose. Every day, refuse to shrink back into comfort. Every day, decide to show up as the person you were created to be, not the one your past or your fear is trying to define. Your future is waiting. The world is watching, and the best version of you is calling your name. The only question left is, will you answer? You were not placed on this earth to merely exist, to go through the motions, to play small, so that others feel comfortable around you. You were designed with intention, with greatness in your DNA, with the fingerprints of a creator who makes no mistakes. The tragedy is that most people live far beneath their potential, not because the opportunity is not there, but because their thinking is too small to recognize it. If you are ever going to elevate your life, you must first elevate your thinking. You cannot create a life of abundance while holding on to a mindset of scarcity. You cannot build something extraordinary while thinking like the ordinary. You must decide today to refuse to let the limits in your mind dictate the limits in your life. The life you are living right now is the direct reflection of the thoughts you have allowed to take root in your mind. Every decision, every action, every opportunity you seized or failed to seize was shaped by the way you think. If you think in terms of lack, your choices will align with lack. If you think in terms of possibilities, your life will expand to meet them. The mind is not just a tool, it is the architect of your destiny. And until you change the blueprint in your thinking, you will keep constructing the same small familiar life over and over again. The reason most people never break through is not because they lack skill or talent, but because they have been trained to think within the boundaries of their current circumstances. They have been conditioned to believe that what they see is all there is, and that their past defines their future. But understand this, you can never outperform the limits of your belief system. You will never live higher than your thoughts. That's why you can give two people the same opportunity, the same resources, the same time, and one will turn it into abundance while the other turns it into a burden. The difference is not in the opportunity, it's in the mind. If you think you can't, you will stop before you even start. If you think you're not worthy, you will sabotage every blessing that comes your way. But the moment you begin to think differently, when you start telling yourself, I am capable, I am prepared, I am worthy, something shifts inside you. That shift in thinking creates a shift in action, and that shift in action creates a shift in results. Change begins in the invisible realm of the mind before it ever manifests in the visible world of your life. Too many people are trying to change their life without first changing their thoughts. They try to get better results while carrying the same limiting mindset, the same excuses, the same fear. It's like planting bad seeds and expecting a good harvest. You can't grow apple trees from lemon seeds. You can't expect success to grow from the seeds of doubt, fear, and procrastination. The soil of your mind must be prepared for the seeds of greatness to take root. Elevating your thinking means refusing to let your present limitations decide your future possibilities. It means replacing I can't with I can, replacing it's impossible with it's possible, replacing I don't have enough with I have more than enough to begin. Every great achievement in history was once considered impossible until someone decided to think differently. The Wright brothers thought differently about flight. Thomas Edison thought differently about light. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. They started with an elevated thought, and they built their life around it until it became a reality. Responsibility is another pillar of elevated thinking. You cannot think on a higher level while blaming everyone else for where you are. You cannot rise while carrying a victim mindset. Taking full responsibility for your life is not about blaming yourself for everything that happens. It's about recognizing that you have the power to respond. The word responsibility itself means the ability to respond. When you elevate your thinking, you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you. You stop hoping the world will change for you, and you decide to change your approach to the world. You realize that no matter what happens around you, you have the power to control what happens within you. Discipline is where elevated thinking transforms into elevated living. You can have the most inspiring thoughts, the biggest dreams, the boldest goals, but without the discipline to act consistently, your vision will remain a fantasy. Elevated thinking understands that the price of your future is paid for in daily decisions. What you do every day is shaping who you become, and who you become is shaping the life you live. Consistency beats talent every single time. It's not about how smart you are, it's about how willing you are to keep showing up, to keep doing the work even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when no one is cheering for you. You also have to guard your environment because elevated thinking cannot survive in toxic soil. If you surround yourself with small-minded people who complain, doubt, and quit easily, they will shrink your vision down to fit their comfort zone. If you want to think on a higher level, you need to be around people who inspire you to stretch, who challenge you to rise, who make you feel uncomfortable staying the same. Your circle is either your greatest investment or your greatest liability. Be intentional about who has access to your mind because your environment is shaping your thoughts, and your thoughts are shaping your life. Another mark of elevated thinking is a hunger to keep learning. The day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. There is always another level, another skill, another insight that can move you closer to your potential. Elevated thinkers don't get satisfied with what they already know. They go after wisdom, they invest in knowledge, they seek understanding from every source they can. This is why the most successful people in the world are also some of the most curious. They know that the more they learn, the more they expand their capacity to achieve. But perhaps the most important element of elevated thinking is the ability to see the invisible. You have to believe in the promise before you see the proof. You have to be able to look at your current situation and see beyond it. Faith is a form of thinking. It is the ability to hold a vision in your mind, even when the evidence around you says otherwise. You must learn to walk by faith, not by sight. Because if you only move when things look perfect, you will never move at all. The greatest breakthroughs often come in the moments when nothing seems to be working, but you keep going anyway because your mind is fixed on the vision, not the obstacle. Action is the bridge between elevated thinking and elevated living. You can dream, plan, and imagine all day long, but without action, nothing changes. Elevated thinkers are not just dreamers, they are doers. They understand that perfection is the enemy of progress, so they act with what they have and trust that more will come along the way. The world doesn't reward the one who had the idea first. It rewards the one who acted on it. The truth is, your life will not rise higher than your thoughts, but your thoughts will not rise higher than what you expose yourself to. This is why it's crucial to constantly challenge your beliefs, to question the limits you've accepted, to refuse to make comfort your home. The best version of you is not found in staying safe. It's found in risking enough to grow. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you elevate your thinking, and every time you elevate your thinking, you elevate your life. This process is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. You will have moments when your thoughts drift back to fear, when your mind starts shrinking to fit the challenge in front of you. But that's when you remind yourself you are not limited to what you see right now. Your potential is greater than your present. Your destiny is greater than your current discomfort. And the way you step into it is by choosing every single day to elevate your thinking before you elevate your life. You will never rise higher than the standards you set for yourself. Life will only meet you at the level of your expectation. If your standards are low, your results will be low. If your standards are average, your life will be average. But when you decide that your life, your calling, your destiny demand more, when you refuse to settle for anything less than excellence, you begin to operate in a different realm. You stop begging for scraps and start walking like you own the table. And this shift doesn't happen by accident. It starts with a conscious decision to redefine what you will and will not accept in your life. Too many people spend their lives negotiating with mediocrity. They know deep inside they are capable of more, but they talk themselves into staying the same. They say, it's not that bad, or I can live with this for now, or at least I'm doing better than those people. And without realizing it, they are trading the life they could have for the life that's convenient. They are making peace with average, and average has a way of keeping you right where you are. You will never step into greatness while you are making deals with mediocrity. You can't hold hands with comfort and expect to walk into calling. Redefining your standards means you raise the bar, even if it scares you. It means you stop measuring yourself against the people around you and start measuring yourself against your God-given potential. It means you stop saying, I'll do just enough to get by, and start saying, I will do whatever it takes to become who I was created to be. When you redefine your standards, you change the conversation you have with yourself. You no longer ask, what's the least I can do? But instead, what's the best I am capable of? The truth is, mediocrity is not an accident. It's a decision. It's the result of lowering your standards to match your effort instead of raising your effort to match your standards. It's the choice to settle where you are instead of climbing higher. And the most dangerous thing about mediocrity is that it's comfortable. It doesn't hurt enough to force change, but it drains enough to steal your future. You're not drowning, you're drifting, and drifting feels safe until you realize it's taking you somewhere you never wanted to go. If you want to redefine your standards, you must first get brutally honest with yourself. Look at your habits, your routines, your relationships, your work ethic. Ask yourself, am I giving my absolute best in every area of my life, or am I letting myself off the hook when it's inconvenient? You cannot elevate what you tolerate. If you keep allowing yourself to show up late, to break promises to yourself, to let fear dictate your choices, then you are agreeing with mediocrity. You are saying this is enough even when you know it isn't. Raising your standards is not about perfection. It's about refusing to settle for less than excellence. Excellence is not about being better than everyone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about holding yourself to a level that forces you to grow even when no one is watching. It's about deciding that you will no longer match the energy of the room. You will set the tone of the room. One of the biggest traps that keeps people stuck in mediocrity is comparison. They look at what others are doing and think, I'm doing okay. But you are not called to live, okay? You are called to live fully, abundantly, purposefully. If you want to redefine your standards, you must stop using other people as your measuring stick. You must set a standard that scares you a little, one that demands more faith, more discipline, more commitment than you've been giving. And then you must protect that standard like your life depends on it, because it does. There will always be a voice in your head that says, this is too much. You can slow down. You've done enough. That voice is the negotiator of mediocrity. It's the whisper that convinces you to hit the snooze button instead of getting up. It's the reason you quit after a few setbacks. It's the excuse that says, I'll do it tomorrow, but here's the truth. Tomorrow doesn't belong to you. All you have is today. And every time you lower your standard, you teach yourself to expect less. Every time you compromise, you train yourself to settle. Redefining your standards requires discipline, but more than that, it requires a decision. Discipline is the action, decision is the foundation. Until you decide that mediocrity is no longer an option, you will keep flirting with it. Until you decide that average is unacceptable, you will keep tolerating it. This is not about motivation, it's about commitment. Motivation comes and goes, but a standard stays. You must also be willing to pay the price for your standards. Excellence always costs more than average. It costs more effort, more time, more energy. It costs you comfort. It costs you friendships with people who don't want to grow. It costs you the approval of those who will call you too much or too intense. But here's the thing, you cannot expect an extraordinary life while living by ordinary standards. If you want to be uncommon, you must do what the common will not. Protecting your standards also means guarding your environment. You can't expect to live at a high level while spending your time around people who are satisfied with mediocrity. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who refuse to let you slack, who remind you of who you are when you forget. Your environment will either pull you up or drag you down, and if you're serious about elevating your life, you need to be in a room where your best is the expectation, not the exception. When you raise your standards, you will face resistance. Not everyone will understand why you are working harder, why you are saying no to certain invitations, why you are willing to do more than what's required. They will tell you to relax, to slow down, to enjoy life. But understand this, there is no joy in living beneath your potential. There is no fulfillment in knowing you could have done more, been more, given more, but you chose comfort instead. You cannot live a life of purpose while making deals with mediocrity. The danger with negotiating with mediocrity is that it never stops at one compromise. The first time you lower your standard, it gets easier to do it again. Soon, you're living far below the level you once dreamed of, and you don't even notice because the decline was gradual. Mediocrity is like a slow leak in your tire. You don't feel it right away, but it will eventually stop your progress if you don't address it. If you truly want to redefine your standards, you have to draw a line in the sand and say, from this day forward, I will not go back. I will not settle. I will not water down my vision to fit someone else's comfort zone. You have to decide that your life is worth the effort, that your calling is worth the sacrifice, that your future is worth the fight. This is not just about success in the material sense, it's about the person you are becoming in the process. High standards force you to grow into the kind of person who can sustain success. They teach you integrity, resilience, and perseverance. They teach you to keep going when it's hard, to stand firm when you're tempted to quit, to push forward when others give up. And when you live by those standards long enough, excellence becomes your default setting. There is no shortcut to living at a high standard. It's not something you do for a season. It's a way of life. You choose it every day in every decision, in every action. You choose it when no one is watching, when it's inconvenient, when it costs you. And the reward is not just in what you achieve, but in who you become along the way. Because the truth is, the moment you stop negotiating with mediocrity is the moment you start negotiating with your destiny. The future you are dreaming of will not be built in public. It will not be created in the spotlight. It will not take shape when the crowd is cheering or when the recognition is pouring in. The life you want is being constructed right now. In the moments no one sees, your future is built in private. And the tool that will shape it more than anything else is self-discipline. Self-discipline is the bridge between what you want and what you actually achieve. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Without it, your potential will remain untapped. Your goals will stay dreams, and your calling will be nothing more than a concept. You can have talent, intelligence, charisma, and ambition, but without self-discipline, all of it will eventually waste away. The reason so many people stay stuck in the same cycle year after year is because they are controlled by their feelings instead of their decisions. They act when they feel motivated, but they stop when the excitement fades. They work hard when they're inspired, but they disappear when things get uncomfortable. And that's the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful. The successful have learned to show up regardless of how they feel. They understand that discipline is not about emotion, it's about commitment. Every great accomplishment is born out of private preparation. It's the hours spent studying when everyone else is relaxing. It's the early mornings in the gym when no one is watching. It's the late nights perfecting your craft when no one is clapping. People see the moment of victory, but they don't see the thousands of moments of discipline that made it possible. They see the performance, but they don't see the practice. They see the success, but they don't see the sacrifice. If you want to master self-discipline, you must first master your thoughts. Every action begins with a decision, and every decision is influenced by the way you think. If your thinking is scattered, your actions will be inconsistent. If your thinking is small, your actions will be limited. But if your thinking is clear, focused, and determined, your actions will follow in that same direction. Self-discipline is not about willpower alone. It's about creating a mindset that refuses to compromise on the standards you've set for your life. You have to decide that certain things are non-negotiable. If you've committed to waking up early, it doesn't matter if you feel tired. If you've committed to eating healthy, it doesn't matter if the junk food looks tempting. If you've committed to building a business, it doesn't matter if the results are slow. Discipline says, I move based on my decision, not my mood. And once you develop that kind of resolve, you become unstoppable. The challenge with self-discipline is that it often feels unrewarded in the moment. There's no applause when you choose to work instead of watch TV. There's no instant gratification when you choose to save money instead of spend it. There's no immediate payoff when you choose to study instead of scroll through your phone. But every disciplined choice you make is a seed you are planting. And in time, those seeds will grow into a harvest so great that people will wonder how you did it. This is why the future is built in private, because it takes time for those seeds to grow. No one sees the roots developing underground, but they are there. No one notices the foundation being laid, but it's being built. You must be willing to work in the unseen seasons, trusting that your time will come. Too many people quit because they don't see results fast enough. They fail to realize that discipline is not a sprint, it's a lifestyle. The results will come, but only if you keep showing up when no one is watching. Self-discipline also requires you to confront your weaknesses head on. It's not about avoiding the things you're bad at, it's about facing them until you master them. If you struggle with procrastination, discipline forces you to start before you feel ready. If you struggle with distraction, discipline forces you to create an environment where focus is possible. If you struggle with quitting, discipline forces you to commit to the process until the work is finished. Discipline is not about avoiding discomfort, it's about using discomfort as the tool that shapes you. One of the greatest enemies of self-discipline is the desire for comfort. Comfort will whisper, you can take it easy today. Comfort will tell you you deserve a break when you haven't earned one. Comfort will say you've done enough when you've barely scratched the surface. And if you listen to comfort for too long, it will rob you of your future. Discipline requires you to silence the voice of comfort and listen to the voice of purpose instead. Purpose will tell you, keep going, stay focused, do the work now so you can enjoy the reward later. The truth is, you cannot build a great life on feelings alone. Feelings change daily, sometimes hourly. Discipline is what keeps you on track when your emotions are pulling you in the wrong direction. It's what keeps you consistent when motivation runs out. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the firewood that keeps the flame alive. Without it, the fire will die out long before you see the results you want. To master self-discipline, you also have to learn how to keep promises to yourself. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your own trust. You teach yourself that your word doesn't mean much. But when you keep those promises, when you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you build self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of confidence. When you know you can trust yourself, you no longer need external validation to move forward. You know you will do the work no matter what. You must also remove the distractions that pull you away from your priorities. Discipline is not just about doing the right things, it's about eliminating the wrong things. If you spend hours scrolling through social media, binge watching shows, or engaging in pointless conversations, you are trading your future for temporary entertainment. Every moment you waste is a moment you can never get back. Discipline forces you to value your time as your most precious resource, because once it's gone forever. The beauty of mastering self-discipline is that it compounds over time. The more disciplined you are, the more progress you make. The more progress you make, the more motivated you feel. The more motivated you feel, the more you want to keep going. Discipline creates momentum, and momentum is the force that takes you from average to exceptional. But you must be willing to start small. Consistent small steps will always outperform inconsistent big leaps. There will be days when you feel like your efforts are invisible, when you wonder if it's even worth it. That's when you must remind yourself everything great is built in the shadows before it is revealed in the light. The athlete trains in silence before they compete in the arena. The author writes in solitude before their book is published. The entrepreneur works late nights before the world knows their name. Your time in private is not wasted. It's preparation, and preparation is the price of elevation. The world celebrates public success, but God honors private faithfulness. When you are disciplined in the unseen moments, you are proving that you can be trusted with more. You are showing that you value the process as much as the outcome. And when the moment comes for you to step into the spotlight, you will be ready, not because you hoped for it, but because you prepared for it. Every day you have a choice, discipline or regret. Discipline is hard now, but pays off later. Regret is easy now, but costs you forever. One builds your future, the other destroys it. The future you desire will not just happen. It will be the result of hundreds, even thousands, of disciplined choices made in the quiet moments of life. That is where your destiny is shaped, in the unseen, in the uncelebrated, in the private. So if you are serious about your future, stop waiting for the perfect moment to get started. Stop waiting for inspiration to strike. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Start now with what you have, where you are. Build the habits that will carry you forward. Protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Say no to the things that waste your time. Say yes to the work that moves you forward. And above all, keep going when no one sees, no one claps, and no one thanks you. Because that's where greatness is born, in the unseen, in the private, in the discipline. If you truly want to step into the life that is calling you, the first thing you must understand is this: your environment is not neutral. It is either pulling you forward or dragging you backward. There is no in between. Most people underestimate the invisible power of their surroundings because they think environment simply means the physical space they live in. But your environment is more than just four walls and a roof. It's the energy, the mindset, the people, the habits, and even the unspoken expectations that exist around you every single day. And here's the truth: your environment will always fight to keep you consistent with your past unless you intentionally upgrade it to align with your future. You cannot expect to grow into the highest version of yourself while surrounding yourself with things and people that keep you small. You cannot expect to think bigger if you keep listening to voices that only know limitation. Your dreams will suffocate in an environment that does not have the oxygen of possibility. If the atmosphere around you is saturated with fear, doubt, excuses, gossip, or negativity, no matter how motivated you are, your spirit will eventually be poisoned by it. That's why it's not enough to have vision. You must build a world around you that agrees with it. Every environment has a thermostat. It sets the temperature for how far you believe you can go. If you grew up in an environment where the thermostat was set to mediocrity, you will naturally feel uncomfortable when you try to rise above it. You'll find yourself pulled back by subtle pressures, unspoken rules, and familiar routines. This is why people often sabotage themselves when they begin to succeed. They're used to the old air they've been breathing, so the new atmosphere of excellence feels foreign. But if you want your future more than you want your comfort, you have to raise that thermostat and refuse to lower it again. Upgrading your environment begins with upgrading what you allow into your mind. If your future demands abundance thinking, but your current environment feeds you scarcity, you will have a constant war inside you. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every voice you listen to, it is either fertilizing your vision or killing it. You must become intentional about who and what you give access to your mental space. Your mind is the construction site of your future. You cannot let just anyone wander in and leave debris. The people you spend the most time with shape your environment more than anything else. You cannot build $1 million mindset in a circle where everyone is committed to small thinking. You cannot develop faith in a crowd that constantly talks fear. You cannot develop the courage to take risks while surrounded by those who worship safety. Your relationships are like mirrors. They reflect the level of belief and standard you currently operate in. If you want a better reflection, you have to change the mirror. That means intentionally spending more time with people who are already living the kind of life you aspire to, who challenge your excuses instead of validating them, who stretch your thinking instead of shrinking it. Your physical space matters too. If your home, your workspace, your surroundings are cluttered, outdated, and uninspiring, it will subconsciously anchor you to the past. The environment you live in sends a message to your brain about what you believe you deserve. That's why when you walk into certain places, you instantly feel inspired, elevated, and sharper because the environment speaks excellence. If you want to match your future, start by making changes where you are. Rearrange, declutter, invest in items that inspire you. Put visual reminders of your goals where you can see them daily. Even small shifts in your environment can create big shifts in how you feel and operate. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of the environments holding you back are tied to relationships you've had for years, maybe even your whole life, but loyalty to people who are committed to your old self will cost you your new self. This doesn't mean you cut everyone off with arrogance. It means you choose proximity with wisdom. Love people, bless them, but recognize that not everyone can walk with you into the next chapter. Some are assignments from your past. Others are partners for your future. Knowing the difference is the mark of wisdom. You also have to upgrade your digital environment in today's world. What you consume online is as real an environment as the one you physically live in. If your social media feeds are filled with gossip, drama, and distraction, you are programming your mind to dwell in that atmosphere. Curate your feeds to align with your future. Follow accounts that inspire growth, teach you new skills, and reinforce your vision. Remove voices that feed your fear or temptation to settle. Remember, what you scroll shapes your soul. The most overlooked part of upgrading your environment is upgrading the conversations you have with yourself. You carry an internal environment everywhere you go. If the self-talk in your mind is polluted with doubt, guilt, and fear, no external change will last. You must learn to speak to yourself as the future version of you would. Encourage yourself, challenge yourself, remind yourself daily of where you're going. The inner environment must match the external one, or you'll always feel like you're living in two worlds. Your habits are another form of environment. If your routines are built around your past self, you will keep repeating your past. If your mornings begin with distraction and your nights end with procrastination, you're building a life that serves your old identity. Upgrade your habits to match the lifestyle of the person you want to become. Eat, work, move, study, and rest as if you already are that person. This creates alignment, and alignment attracts acceleration. You have to decide that your environment will no longer be a museum for your history, but a launch pad for your destiny. That means no longer keeping symbols of defeat, reminders of failure, or trophies from battles that no longer matter. Keep your space filled with things that push you forward, not hold you in nostalgia. Your future does not live in the rearview mirror, and your environment should remind you of that every day. Here's what many don't realize. Your environment influences your identity, and your identity controls your destiny. If you continue to live in an environment that reflects who you used to be, you will always feel out of place when you try to step into who you're meant to be. But if you align your surroundings with your vision, the environment will begin to train your mind, your habits, and your decisions to rise into that vision. This process will feel uncomfortable. You may have to walk away from familiar places, break patterns you've known for years, and face the resistance of those who don't understand your choices. But comfort never creates transformation. You are not upgrading your environment for where you are. You're upgrading it for where you're going. That requires foresight. It means making choices that your present self might not fully enjoy, but your future self will thank you for. When you intentionally upgrade your environment, something powerful happens. Your standards rise automatically. You start to feel like certain behaviors, thoughts, and choices no longer fit. You begin to reject mediocrity without effort because your environment no longer supports it. This is how you build momentum, not by relying on willpower alone, but by creating a world around you that makes the best version of you the easiest version to be. The people who achieve extraordinary lives rarely do so by staying in ordinary environments. They put themselves in rooms where they are the smallest fish, where the standard is higher than their current level, where excellence is not an exception, but an expectation. They know that proximity is power, so they intentionally put themselves near those whose energy, habits, and mindset align with where they're headed. If you truly want to change your life, start by changing the world you live in. That doesn't always mean moving to a new city or spending huge amounts of money. It means making intentional adjustments so that every part of your environment whispers or shouts your future into your spirit. When your environment matches your vision, your growth will feel inevitable. When your environment is set up for who you're becoming, the leap from where you are to where you want to be becomes smaller every day. And the moment you commit to upgrading your environment to match your future, you'll begin to see a shift, not just around you, but inside you. You'll find that your decisions align more naturally with your goals. Your energy stays higher and your focus becomes sharper. You'll begin to live in a way that attracts the life you've been dreaming about, not because you're forcing it, but because you've built a world where that life feels normal. And when it feels normal, it becomes inevitable. If you are going to become everything you were created to be, the first shift you must make is this: ownership, radical, unapologetic, no wiggle room ownership. Because the moment you make excuses, you hand over the steering wheel of your life to circumstances, other people, or your past. Excuses feel comfortable because they let you off the hook. They give you a temporary sense of relief, but they also guarantee that your life will remain exactly as it is. The truth is, nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody owes you a breakthrough, and life will not rearrange itself to make things easier for you. You are the one who must decide that everything in your life, your wins, your losses, your habits, your results, is yours to own. It doesn't matter if someone betrayed you, if the economy collapsed, if your childhood was unfair, or if people underestimated you. All of that may be real, but if you keep pointing to those things as the reason you are not where you want to be, you will stay there forever. Ownership is not about denying reality. It's about refusing to be controlled by it. It's about saying, this may not be my fault, but it is my responsibility to fix it. The person who wins in life is not the one with the perfect starting point. It's the one who stops asking for a perfect starting point and starts moving from wherever they are, with whatever they have. When you take ownership, you eliminate the language of blame from your vocabulary. You stop saying, they made me angry, and start saying, I allowed myself to react with anger. You stop saying, they didn't give me the opportunity, and start saying, I didn't create enough value for the opportunity to be undeniable. That mindset feels uncomfortable at first because it forces you to look in the mirror and face the truth. But the mirror is your friend. It shows you where you really are so you can move toward where you want to be. Ownership demands that you stop outsourcing your results to luck, chance, or timing. People who succeed in any field are not waiting for the stars to align. They are aligning their own actions until the results they want become inevitable. Waiting is passive. Ownership is active. You don't wait to feel ready. You take the step, you make the call, you write the plan, you show up early, you stay late, you outwork the old version of yourself until that version no longer exists. When you truly take ownership, you stop thinking in terms of what I can't do and start thinking in terms of what must I do to make it happen. That's when creativity kicks in. That's when resourcefulness becomes your advantage. Too many people hide behind excuses like, I don't have the money, I don't know the right people, or I don't have the education. The people who rise above these limitations are not the ones with unlimited resources. They are the ones who become resourceful enough to find a way. If your environment isn't right, you take ownership by changing it. If your skills aren't sharp enough, you take ownership by learning and practicing. If your body isn't healthy, you take ownership by disciplining your habits. Ownership will always expose whether you are serious about change or just talking about it. And the truth is, your results will always match your level of ownership. If you halfway own it, you will get halfway results. If you fully own it, you will see transformation that shocks the people around you. Taking ownership also means you stop lying to yourself. You stop telling yourself that you don't have time when you are wasting hours on distractions. You stop telling yourself you did your best when deep down you know you didn't go all in. You stop pretending you're unlucky when in reality you've been undisciplined. The greatest freedom you will ever experience comes the moment you stop running from responsibility and instead grab it with both hands. Because once you own it, you can change it. Think about it. Every major transformation in history, every invention, every breakthrough came from someone who took ownership. They didn't just say, this is unfair. They said, this is unacceptable, and I'm going to change it. Ownership is the foundation of leadership, and you are the leader of your own life. If you don't lead yourself well, nobody else will. If you don't take charge of your vision, your schedule, your finances, your relationships, they will all be shaped by external forces, and those forces rarely lead you to greatness. No excuses allowed means you don't negotiate with laziness, fear, or distraction. You don't wait for motivation to show up. You show up and let motivation catch up later. You hold yourself to a standard that says, I will either win or I will learn, but I will never quit and blame. You stop looking for sympathy and start building results. You realize that sympathy might make you feel good for a moment, but results will make you feel good for a lifetime. The reason most people never reach their potential is not because they lack talent, it's because they keep holding on to their excuses like a safety blanket. Excuses feel warm, but they keep you stuck in the same cold reality. And the day you decide to drop them is the day you step into power. That power doesn't come from anyone else. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. You will adapt. You will grow. You will get it done. You cannot control everything in life, but you can always control your response. And your response determines your results. Life will test you, it will hand you setbacks, and it will give you reasons to complain. But if you've decided that excuses are no longer an option, those tests will not break you, they will shape you, they will sharpen your character, strengthen your resolve, and prepare you for the opportunities you are praying for. Ownership is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. As long as you stand on the side of excuses, you will stay there. But the moment you cross that bridge, you realize that your potential was never waiting on the economy, the government, your boss, your spouse, or your parents. It was waiting on you. Every day you wake up, you are either reinforcing your excuses or building your future. You can't do both. So you choose. You choose to own the mornings instead of snoozing through them. You choose to own your health instead of complaining about your energy. You choose to own your work ethic instead of blaming others for outpacing you. You choose to own your mindset instead of letting negativity rule your thoughts. You choose to own your vision instead of allowing the opinions of others to shrink it. When you take ownership, people may not understand you at first. They may call you stubborn, obsessive, or unrealistic. That's because most people are comfortable living with excuses. Your refusal to accept them will make them uncomfortable, but eventually they will respect it. They will see the results you produce, and they will realize that you've been living by a different set of rules. Rules that lead to progress. Rules that lead to freedom. Rules that lead to becoming the person you are meant to be. Ownership is not something you do once. It's a way of life. It's the decision you make every day in every situation to be the author of your story. It's the commitment to refuse the easy out and take the hard road that leads to growth. It's the choice to say, if it's to be, it's up to me, and to live like that's true, because it is. And here's the thing. Once you commit to full ownership, you will begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. Why? Because excuses blind you. But ownership opens your eyes. It opens doors that were locked. It connects you to people who operate on that same level of responsibility. And those are the people who change the world. The ones who don't wait for permission, who don't wait for rescue, who don't wait for the perfect moment. They create it. Your life will only rise to the level of ownership you demand from yourself. And the moment you decide that no excuse is worth more than your future, that's the moment everything changes. From that day forward, you're not a victim of circumstances. You're the architect of your destiny. And architects don't wait for someone else to draw the plans. They design them, they build them, and they make sure the finished product is exactly what they envisioned. So stop negotiating with your potential. Stop delaying your greatness until the conditions are perfect. Stop giving away your power to excuses that feel good in the moment, but rob you in the long run. Stand up, take the wheel, and own every mile of the journey. Because the life you want will not come from the reasons you can't. It will come from the decision that you will. Greatness is rarely born out of a single monumental leap. It is almost always the result of small, deliberate, and consistent steps taken day after day, often without applause, without recognition, and without instant results. The world celebrates the athlete who wins the gold medal, the entrepreneur who sells their company for millions, the artist whose work becomes timeless, but what the world doesn't see is the years of daily discipline, the countless hours of repetitive practice, the moments when motivation was absent yet action was still taken. This is the truth that most people overlook. Success is less about inspiration and more about commitment. It is about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, even when the results seem invisible, even when you're tempted to give up. Small steps compound over time, just like a drop of water hitting the same stone every day eventually carves a groove into it. Your daily actions, no matter how insignificant they may feel in the moment, are shaping your destiny. You cannot always control the pace of your progress, but you can always control your consistency. That's the real secret. Consistency transforms potential into reality, turns dreams into tangible results, and builds a life you can be proud of. You don't need to be perfect every day. You just need to be present every day. The reason small steps work is because they bypass the mental resistance that comes with thinking everything has to be done at once. Big goals can be intimidating. They can paralyze you with the fear of failure or overwhelm you with the thought of how far you have to go. But when you break them down into daily, manageable actions, you remove the pressure and instead focus on progress. This is how momentum is built, not in sudden bursts of activity, but in the quiet persistence of showing up again and again. Think of a seed planted in the soil. It doesn't grow into a towering tree overnight. At first, nothing seems to happen. Days, weeks, maybe even months go by with no visible change. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, spreading deeper and wider, building the foundation that will eventually support the visible growth. That is exactly how daily, consistent action works. Often looks like nothing is happening, but in reality, the roots of your success are strengthening underground. And when the breakthrough finally comes, it will look like it happened all at once, but you'll know the truth. It was years in the making. Many people sabotage their potential because they mistake activity for consistency. They work hard for a week, then stop for a month. They chase results in short sprints, but never build the endurance to sustain them. This creates a cycle of starting over, feeling frustrated, and losing belief in themselves. But consistency is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how far behind you think you are. If you show up every day, you will eventually overtake those who only work in bursts. The tortoise didn't beat the hare because he was faster. He won because he never stopped moving forward. You must understand that small steps are not insignificant steps. Every page read, every workout completed, every dollar saved, every hour spent learning a new skill, it all counts. Your job is to trust the compounding effect. Compounding is not just a financial principle, it's a life principle. Just as money invested consistently grows exponentially over time, so does effort. One day of work doesn't change much, but 365 days of work done consistently changes everything. The challenge is that consistency often feels boring. The human mind craves novelty, excitement, and instant gratification. We want to see the reward now, not years later. But mastery is found in repetition. Excellence is born from doing the same thing so well, so often that it becomes second nature. The musician who plays beautifully didn't practice when it was fun. They practiced when it was hard, when they were tired, when they would rather be doing something else. The same is true for every champion in every field. Daily, consistent action also demands that you let go of perfectionism. Waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect conditions is just another form of procrastination. You will never have the perfect setup, but you can take imperfect action every day. It's better to do a little imperfectly than to do nothing while waiting for perfection. The more you act, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better your results. Progress creates clarity, and clarity fuels even greater progress. One of the greatest enemies of consistency is emotion. If you only act when you feel motivated, you will never achieve greatness because motivation comes and goes. Consistency requires discipline, the ability to act regardless of how you feel. You won't feel excited to work toward your goals every day. There will be days you're tired, discouraged, or distracted. But those are the days that matter most. Anyone can act when they feel good. Champions act even when they don't. If you want to develop this kind of discipline, make your daily actions non-negotiable. Just like brushing your teeth, eating, or sleeping, your steps toward your goals should become automatic. Remove the decision-making process. The more you debate with yourself about whether or not to take action, the more likely you are to talk yourself out of it. Build habits so strong that they carry you forward even on the days your mind tries to resist. Surround yourself with reminders of why your daily actions matter. Keep your goals visible. Track your progress. Celebrate small milestones along the way. Success is not just about the end result. It's about staying committed long enough to get there. Each time you follow through on your commitment, you reinforce your belief in yourself, and that belief will carry you through the harder days. Your environment also plays a critical role in your ability to stay consistent. If you're surrounded by people who lack discipline, you'll be tempted to match their energy. If your surroundings are filled with distractions, your focus will be weakened. Create an environment that supports your goals. Remove temptations, organize your space, and connect with people who value consistency as much as you do. Another truth about small steps is that they often lead to bigger opportunities you could never have planned for. Every skill you develop, every connection you make, every habit you strengthen, it all builds a foundation that attracts more success. Sometimes the reward for staying consistent isn't just the goal you were aiming for, but the unexpected blessings that come along the way. But perhaps the most important thing to understand is this: consistency is a choice. You will always have excuses, distractions, and obstacles. Life will always get busy. There will always be reasons to skip today and promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. But the people who achieve extraordinary results are the ones who choose to act today no matter what. They understand that every day matters. Every day is a seed planted toward their future. Every day is either moving them closer to their dream or further away from it. So ask yourself, what is the small step you can take today? Not next week, not when life feels easier, not when you feel ready, today. Because today is all you truly have, and what you do with it will shape the days to come. Success is built one action at a time, one day at a time, in the quiet repetition that few see, but everyone eventually notices. The compounding effect will take care of the rest. You don't need to do everything at once, but you must do something every day, because small steps taken consistently are the ones that lead to greatness. And when the day comes that you look back on your life, you will see that it wasn't one grand event that made you who you are. It was the daily, steady, unwavering commitment to keep moving forward, no matter how small the step. That's how dreams are built. That's how lives are transformed. That's how greatness is achieved.